You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Good evening and welcome in to the Outspoken Network Sportscast Edition, episode 213, Football Preview Edition. My name is Craig. I'll be your host for this evening. Brian and Jeff have some other obligations to take care of, so they will be back next week. We're going to jump in and talk about college football and preview the Thursday night game between the Lions and the Chiefs. But today is opening weekend of college football. College football had a couple games Friday night. USC beat Nevada, and Kansas State also won. But this afternoon was the huge beginning of college football. We had I will jump in right off, and we're just going to go through the top 25. Number one, Georgia won 48-7 over UT Martin. A lot of these games in the beginning, they don't play a lot of people. It'll be interesting to see what Georgia does when they get through the SEC, whether they can continue to roll like they have the last couple of years. Michigan, number two, beats East Carolina 30-3. And basically the second half, they kind of pulled back. They were up 23-0 at halftime, and they kind of pulled back. But Michigan has to play the first three games without their head coach in Jim Harbaugh, who had a recruiting violation that the NCAA was going to suspend him for. Then they weren't going to suspend him. And then all of a sudden the university stepped in and said, well, no, we're just going to suspend him. So where Michigan thought they were going to have their head coach for the first, for the whole season, they will not have him for the first three games. He will be back in week 4. Number 3, Ohio State wins. They beat Indiana 23-3. Number 4, Bama is winning right now 35-0 over Middle Tennessee State. Like I said before, number 6, USC beats Nevada 58-14. Number 7, Penn State is up 21-7 on West Virginia. That game just starts the third quarter. Number 8. Number 8, Florida State and LSU play tomorrow. LSU is 5, and Florida State is 8, and so that will be a very good 2 top 10 teams in Seminole Land tomorrow night. So Clemson plays Monday against Duke. They're number 9. So All right. So number 10. Let's see here. Trying to get the rankings pulled up. Number 10 is Washington, and they play California later this evening. No, I'm sorry. They won 56-19 over Boise. So number 11 would be Texas. They won today as well. Tennessee has won this afternoon. Notre Dame won Saturday. Oregon had a close one. They scored 81 points. They win 81-7 over Portland State. Oklahoma scores 73, wins 73-0. So the opening week is not exactly your barn burners. But the biggest game of the day was number 17 TCU playing unranked Colorado. Colorado comes into Fort Worth, and Coach Prime, who takes over the Colorado program, who had one win last year. Deion Sanders comes from Jackson State, where he was 28-7 in 2 seasons over there. Brings the winning culture and tells everybody that he's going to completely turn this franchise around and bring things back to Colorado the way they were back in the 80s and 90s, where Colorado was a known powerhouse in college football. Brings his son Shadir Sanders with him to be the quarterback. Has a bunch of transfers in, has some other things that go on. And they march into Fort Worth, 21-point underdogs. And not only do they cover the spread, they win outright. And they win 45-42 and shock a team who was in the national championship last year. They're in the national championship, and now they lose game 1. TCU had a lot of players that went to the NFL and graduated and moved on, and so there was a question on how they would be this year, but they were still supposed to be pretty good. And Shadir Sanders throws for over 500 yards. They've got a wide receiver. His last name is Hunter, and he plays both sides of the football. He plays wide receiver and he plays defensive back, and he made multiple plays today on both sides of the ball that absolutely Travis Hunter makes multiple plays on both sides of the ball today. Plays over 100 snaps. That's just something you don't see in football very much anymore. And he has this team believing in themselves and believing in that they can win, and they can win now. That it won't be next year, or won't be a couple years down the road. That it will be now. And everybody said when he was at Jackson State, when he just took that program and righted the ship over there, that it was all, that there's no competition. Jackson State has, he couldn't do it in Division I, and he couldn't do it with a real school, and he did. He's taken this team, and in a short time, he was hired late. He didn't really get a lot of the recruiting time and the things that all these coaches get. So yes, there was a lot of transfers. There was a lot of people that came in from other schools that wanted to play from him, and I mean that's fine. But the bottom line is Colorado. I mean, and I'm not saying they're going to vie for a national championship this year, but they had one win last year, and they had in one game they have as many wins as they had all of last year, and they look good doing it. Yes, they let up 42 points. It's not gonna most games you're not gonna win. You don't want to get in shootouts, so they probably have some work to do defensively. But to throw for over 500 yards on a team that was in the national championship last year, and to come into their house and do it in convincing fashion is impressive. And to beat a top 25 team and probably put yourself in the top 25, that is something that will be really interesting to watch going down the road. It will be interesting to see if Michigan, the loss of their coach, hurts them. I'm very curious to see if Georgia can right the ship and stay as hot as they have been. They've gone on a 3-year run where they've only lost like one game in 3 years. Be interesting to see how well Alabama does, and if Saban can get back to his national championship ways. The LSU Florida State game, can LSU right the ship after a rough couple of years and put their name back in the hat of the college football powerhouse? Texas, can the quarterback stay healthy and can they right the ship, or does their head coach, he is probably coaching for his job if they don't make a run at a playoff run or make you must be reading my mind, Jeff. Yeah, I don't know. I think they have the right system now. I don't know if the head coach is right, but they have the players. Of course, they have the Manning, Arch Manning down there. But Ewers, Quinn Ewers is the quarterback for now. He was hurt last year and comes back and tries to give him one season before Arch has to take the reins. I don't know if Texas. I think they're probably a year away, but I don't know. That the Big 12 is exactly not the powerhouse that it was. Oklahoma is probably all you really have to deal with, especially now. It looks like TCU is going to probably take a step back and not be. You have Baylor, Kansas State. That's another team that gave some teams fits last year. They beat TCU in the Big 12 title game. So it's and they're over in the SEC. I don't know if they play the SEC schedule this year or not. Let me see if I can find Texas's schedule, because I don't know if they play the SEC schedule or not, or if that's next year. I know they moved over and left early, but I don't know if they play. All right, so Texas has Rice. They play Alabama next week, right out of the gate. So yes, they're going to play not the full SEC schedule. They're still playing Oklahoma, Kansas, Baylor, BYU, Kansas State. So they're still playing in the Big 12 for their conference, but they do play Alabama next week right out of the gate. So that will be interesting. Number 11, Texas against number 4, Alabama, next week at 6 o'clock in Alabama. So that will be a very interesting game to see where Texas that'll give you a very good measuring stick as to where Texas is on the map. Are they ready to face the glory days, or are they still a year away? So that's a brutal schedule. Alabama, they got Wyoming, but they got Baylor, Kansas, Oklahoma, Houston, BYU, Kansas State, TCU, Iowa State, and Texas Tech. So that schedule is not easy at all. They got TCU in TCU. They got Oklahoma. Of course, that will be in the Cotton Bowl. Um, Texas at home. I mean, Kansas at home. Baylor is in Baylor. So a lot of the big games are not in Texas. They're playing their big games, a lot of their big games away from home. So it's a very tough schedule, and we will see. I personally think they're a year or two away. I just don't know. I never believed in the head coach, and I think he's probably on his way out the door if they do not make a big move this year, and win probably at least 11 or 12 games. So that is basically the weekend. The biggest right now, the only team in the top 25 that has lost would be TCU. There will be one more added to that tomorrow because two top 10 teams play. So one of them, either Florida State or LSU, will have a loss. Um, Oklahoma scores 73, Oregon scores 81. Of course, those won't be really hard to judge until they play an actual team that is in their conference and a little bit more competition there to see if they are really. Ole Miss scores 73. So that's a little disappointing when you have games like that. 73 at football just doesn't seem to be a. And we're not playing college basketball here. Call off the dogs and these teams that come in and just to get money and become sacrificial lambs. That's great, but 81 points in a college football game is just a little bit much. So yes, college football is back, and it's exciting. And I like college football. Some people don't because of the whole one win hurts your chances at a national title, especially pending on when it is in the season or who it's to. Everybody says that TCU season's over. I don't believe that. If you're going to lose one, losing the first one is the way to go. If they were to win out and win the Big 12 and win that game, I think they could still sneak in. So, um, yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look up on the scoreboard and you're down 73 to nothing or 81-7, I don't care who you are, and if you expected to win or expected to lose or whatever, if I'm the head coach of the team that's down 81-7, I mean that just my guys are out here getting pummeled, and it makes you look like you're not have no business coaching a team because it appears that they have no business being on the field. So that seems to be a little bit much. I mean, I'm sure Michigan could have probably put a bunch up on Eastern Carolina today. They just didn't. They pulled a lot of their guys out and just kind of ran the ball and they scored their 30 and they went home. And it is what it is. Each team. I mean, unfortunately, the ranking system looks back and goes, "Oh, you guys 1 point differential becomes part of the rankings," and I don't like that. I think if you win, you win. It shouldn't matter by how much. So the style point victory has never been a thing for me. But college football is back. It's exciting. I like it. Uh, and I don't mind the the if you win, if you lose one game, it hurts you. I mean, you don't have to be perfect. I think I believe that it I mean, it is what it is. It's you're gonna going in that you need to win a majority of your games. That's why a lot of these teams schedule very easy out of conference games, so um they don't have to have any competition. They don't have to worry about it getting a loss early in the season. Um, but the year that Michigan, it was, I don't know, 10 years ago today, I believe they lost to Appalachian State, and if it doesn't ruin your season, you can still have a good season. You can still go 11-1, and like I said, and make a run at the um, national title. So. Um, I just don't think that it's the end of the world. So, NFL starts on Thursday, and the Detroit Lions go into Kansas City and play Patrick Mahomes, and so this is going to be a better game than you think it is. Um, there are some people that believe um, that the Lions can shock the world, and they could shock the world and beat the Chiefs. Their defense has gotten a lot better. Um, Now they did lose a lot in your gambling suspensions. They were the team that was hit hardest in this gambling crackdown that the NFL had. I think they lost 6 guys, including their burner wide receiver. He won't be able to play till week 7. But they got Jared Goff, and their head coach is got these guys ready to run through a wall, and I mean, they're gonna be an interesting game. Their schedule is pretty favorable, so even if they lose the opening game, they got Seattle, and then they go on a stretch of Atlanta and the Packers and the Bears and the Vikings. So in that division, to me, is not going to be great. Um, so I mean, we'll see. We'll see what they're really made of. They get a very good test opening night, where the Chiefs are going to put another banner up for winning the Super Bowl. I still personally think the Chiefs win that game. I know Patrick Mahomes lost a bunch of wide receivers again this year, and Schuster and um, you know, uh, but I still think they win. Bengals and Browns. I think this game hinges on whether Joe Burrow can come back from the calf injury and play at a high rate. They say they have a plan for them, a path for him to play. I don't know if that means they're going to limit his mobility. I don't know if that means they're going to limit his moving around and no running for him, or just try to keep him in the pocket, and or maybe not throw as much. Maybe um, I don't really know. And then so that's that game. Texans Ravens. Don't you wish you had a ticket to that? You know, two teams that are probably the Ravens think they got a good deal. They got OBJ, and they get their quarterback and Lamar back and sign him to a long-term deal. And of course, the Texans got the brand new 2 rookies that they drafted in the quarterback and the pass rusher. We'll see how well the Texans do. I don't see them making a huge jump in wins this year. I think they're still a couple years away. Um, but we'll see. Buccaneers, Vikings. I don't know what this game leads. We'll see what Baker Mayfield does in Tampa. They lose a huge part of their offensive line and their center to a probably career-ending knee injury. He had the knee injury last year, and he had to have surgery, and he came back from it. and he re-injured it, and it looks like it's probably career-ending. Um, the Vikings lose Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook, so we'll see what Justin Jefferson does with not anything on the other side of him, so teams can really bracket him. That should be interesting there. Um, Falcons Panthers again, another game where the Falcons really don't have a quarterback. We'll see what their new running back in Bijan Robinson, is able to do. Had a pretty good preseason, but we'll see what he does when the lights really come on. The Panthers, of course, with their rookie QB, but they don't really have anybody for him to throw the ball to. They traded away their best wide receiver in DJ Moore. So we'll see how that works out in Carolina. I think that's going to be an absolute train wreck. Cardinals, Commanders. I think the Commanders go in and just take care of business because Sam Howell is okay at what he's doing right now. He's pretty solid average quarterback, but the Cardinals have basically made it pretty publicly known that they're not going to try to win football games this year. They got a third string quarterback. They don't think that the quarterback's going to play all season. He had the ACL injury. They think they're probably going to shelve him for the whole season. So I think they're trying to lose football games. So I don't think the Cardinals will be very competitive all year. Jacksonville and the Colts. Colts are, of course, without Jonathan Taylor. He's on the PUP list with a back injury that really isn't a back injury, according to Jonathan Taylor. They tried to trade him. Well, they say they tried to trade him, but there was 2 or 3 teams that gave significant offers in the Dolphins and the Packers, and it didn't seem like it seemed like the offer that they were trying to make was absolutely way above what anybody was ever going to give them. So I don't think the Colts really have anything. They got the rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson. He played all preseason trying to make jump throws and things like that. I just, these mobile quarterbacks, I just don't know if that's the answer, but we'll see. 49ers and Steelers. The Steelers try to continue their over 500 streak. That's a record that has been, Mike Tomlin has never had a season under 500. Last year they won out the back end of the last few weeks to salvage that record. You thought that record was gone last year, but it's not. And then the 49ers, Purdy, and the Niners come in and look to have another solid season. I think they're probably the number 2 team in the NFC, maybe the 1 seed. We'll see. Titans and Saints. We'll see what the Titans can do. I just don't expect a whole lot of them. We'll see what Derek Carr does as a quarterback in New Orleans and see how well he can do there. They will be missing Alvin Kamara for the first 4 games due to the suspension for the fight that he got in Vegas or whatever, right there on the plane or whatever it was. Raiders and Broncos. We'll see what Garoppolo can do. Can Jimmy Garoppolo right the ship and run that offense for that head coach, or is he out the door? And will they go a different way and blow that team up? And can Denver, with old Russell Wilson and a new head coach, make the adjustments and make that trade out to where it works and get Denver back to being a contender rather than the absolute dismal season they had last year, which was very tough to watch because Russell Wilson went from looking like a regular Hall of Fame quarterback to not even anybody who should be on a roster. So we'll see if it was the play calling, if it was the system, if it was learning the system. We'll see. Eagles, Patriots. The Patriots made a lot of questionable moves. Not sure that Bill Belichick wants to be there. He cuts Bailey Zappi. Now, luckily, he makes it through waivers somehow and gets back to the practice squad. But right now, I believe Mac Jones is the only quarterback on the roster. So if he was to get hurt, I'm not real sure what they have going on there in New England. And of course Philadelphia coming off a season where they went to the Super Bowl. Their schedule is tough, but not tough till later. The first 4 weeks they should go 4-0 right off the bat. So we'll see there. Rams Seahawks. I just don't know what the quarterback for the Rams and Stafford. I don't know if he's healthy. I don't know if that elbow's any better. They tried to trade him in the offseason. Nobody wanted that massive contract that the Rams gave him. So, and then the Seattle Seahawks, of course, signed their quarterback to an extension and give him all kinds of money. And they made the playoffs last year. So we'll see what kind of team Seattle has coming back. The game of the weekend that I really want to watch is the Dolphins and the Chargers. Can Tua stay upright and can they protect him and can he stay healthy? What do the Chargers look like with Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator? Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa going head to head in a very, very prominent AFC matchup right out of the gate in week one. So that will be a very good game on Sunday afternoon. So we'll be watching that game very closely. Packers Bears, two teams that are in the bottom of their division. Jordan Love and Justin Fields. See what Fields does. I've never been a Justin Fields fan. Justin Love or Jordan Love. We'll see if he is able to take over for Aaron Rodgers and do that. And I mean, just don't know. He hasn't played enough. He played in the preseason a little bit, looked okay, but it's just going to be a wait and see when the lights really come on and the games really start to count. Does Jordan Love can he really lead that team to more than about 4 or 5 victories? Be interesting to see. Cowboys Giants on Sunday night. Cowboys have not lost to the Giants since Dak Prescott has been the quarterback. They're on a pretty good string there, so I don't see Dallas really having any problems. Games in New York, but we'll see. Just really don't see Dallas having a whole lot of difficulty with that. They would never hear the end of it if they lost. But Dak Prescott in the NFC East, he really does well against teams in the NFC East. So I fully anticipate Dallas getting off to a good start there. And then Monday night, Bills and Jets will be a definite game to watch. Aaron Rodgers back in the prime time on Monday night against Josh Allen will be a very, very tough test right out of the gate for the Jets. They have a pretty tough schedule to start off with. I believe they got the Bills. I believe they got the Cowboys. So they have a pretty tough draw right off the start to see what that team is made out of right out of the gate. And that's about it. So football is back today. College football was really well. I mean, you had a bunch of games that were blowouts. You had the shocker in Fort Worth of Colorado beating TCU. You got a really good game tomorrow in LSU and Florida State to see if that game lives up to the hype and in 2 top 10 teams in Seminole land down there playing college football. And then Thursday night, the NFL kicks off and just can't wait. So I believe we will try to have a show Tuesday. Got to get with Brian. He's going to be on vacation, so maybe not. It may just be next Saturday because he is on vacation all week next week. So we will see when the Tuesday shows start with football season firing back off. But we will definitely be back next Saturday, and we look forward to catching up on week 1 of the NFL season and talking about the game that happened Thursday night, and we'll be ready to preview Week 1, we'll be able to preview all the games coming up on Sunday and get Brian's and Jeff's opinion on what they think Week 1 will look like. We'll probably run down the games again and give those guys a chance to see what they say about Week 1, and then probably that will be when we make the picks on the rest of our playoff brackets and who's going to win, who we think is going to go and play in the Super Bowl, and who we think is going to win the Super Bowl. So, with that being said, we will wrap it up, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. We look forward to seeing you next week. Remember, you can download this on any of your podcast platforms. And on YouTube, you can subscribe and get it live, get the notice live when we go live. And you can always comment. We like your comments. Jeff joined us tonight. He had some other obligations, but he joined us tonight and in the chat. And so that was nice. We will talk to you guys next week. God bless and keep it outspoken.